Hey everybody, Console Collector here. The end of 2021 is here, and there's no better way to say goodbye to this year than sharing with you every single game I beat in 2021. Now all of these games I had never beaten previously to this year, so they've only been played and completed in 2021. I did play and beat other games previously to this year, for instance, A Link to the Past on Super Nintendo, but I've beaten that game a dozen times, so that's not included. Again, these are just ones I had never completed before 2021. Now, they're not going to be in any particular order, however, I'll save the last three as my favorites of games that I completed in 2021. Be sure to stay tuned to the end of the video, because I'm going to share the games I plan to complete in 2022. Alright, with all that out of the way, let's jump in and take a look at every single game I completed in 2021. Let's kick things off with Punky Skunk for the PS1. This is a pretty unique platformer game on the PlayStation 1. Honestly, when I first played it, I thought, why wasn't this on the Super Nintendo or the Genesis? It definitely looks great, but it doesn't really look like a PS1 era platform game. I actually discovered Punky Skunk just sitting on the shelf at my local retro video game store a few years ago, and honestly, the cover is what caught my attention. Bright pink cover with a weird skunk on it. I thought, what is this? It was a cheap game. I picked it up, and it actually just sat around for a few years until I decided to play it this year in 2021. The thing I love about Punky Skunk is every stage is different. You get little power-ups on each stage, and in between stages you have these weird mini games. It really just was a lot of fun. It's kind of a short game, but I really enjoyed it. It's one of those pop in and play for a few hours kind of games. You don't necessarily have to beat it in one sitting, but it definitely won't take you long to complete it. One of the biggest challenges I have in my game room is when I have a little bit of free time to play a game, it's honestly just hard to decide. So I always look around and then I think, hey, I should just pop in some really unknown weird title I have. And that's exactly how I decided to play Punky Skunk. And I really am glad I did that because it turned out to be one of the best games I played this year. Next up, we have The Darkness for the Xbox 360. This one here I found at a thrift store. The cover just looked really odd to me. I'd never heard of this game and I thought, hey, I better pick this up. It seems kind of uncommon. Well, turns out the game's actually really cheap, and that's a shame because this game is actually fantastic. Basically, the concept of The Darkness is you play this guy named Jackie. He's kind of in a mob slash mafia kind of lifestyle, and he gets like possessed by these demons, and these demons are so powerful, so cool. This makes this kind of generic first-person shooter into one of the most unique games I played on the Xbox 360. There's two different ways basically to play The Darkness. On one hand, you have your weapons. So you got pistols, automatic guns, stuff like that, shotguns to take out enemies, but that's no fun. The real fun is taking out enemies with your demons. So with the click of a button, they come out and they can attack in a variety of ways. They can make black holes, they can sneak up in a like snake form and devour hearts. And the purpose of devouring hearts is basically you can power up the demons. It's a lot of fun to do all stealth kind of missions here and sneak up on unsuspecting people and take them out. One of the most important things to remember when you're playing The Darkness is you need to be in the darkness. Your demons thrive in the darkness, but if you bring them out in the light, guess what? It sucks their power and almost renders them useless. Honestly, one of my biggest complaints about The Darkness though is you're constantly having to go up and take out lights. You need those demons to thrive in the darkness, so you're always taking out lights, whether it's with your demons or you're shooting them out. It just seems like more work than it's worth. I definitely think that loses its fun real quick. Don't get me wrong though, it's still a really unique part of the game, and I don't think it should have been removed. I just feel like it was required way too often. Another great thing about The Darkness is you don't always have to follow the story. There's so much stuff you can do outside the box. For instance, I went down to the subway and I found myself picking up the payphone and dialing a bunch of random numbers, and I spent a good 20 minutes just listening to all the unique, funny, and just weird phone calls you can make talking to random people. There's even a GameStop Easter egg in this game if you dial a certain number. That was pretty cool. Heck, I even found a TV in an apartment one time and a TV in the subway, and you could just sit there and watch Flash Gordon or some other like really weird shows. Like they just put a lot of detail into this game, and I really appreciated that. I feel The Darkness is a prime example of a cheap game doesn't mean it's a bad game. It's definitely not perfect, but I did enjoy my playthrough of it. I can't see myself ever replaying it, but I do know there's a sequel called The Darkness 2, so maybe I'll get to that one day. This game, whether you play it on the Xbox 360 or the PS3, I think it's worth giving a shot just because it's so unique and I've never played anything else quite like it. Now we move on to Murdered Soul Suspect for the PS3. This game, I'm going to say right now, is definitely my hidden gem of the year. I never heard of this game. It's another one that I saw at my local retro video game store sitting on the shelf for 10 bucks. Yep, 10 bucks. I picked it up. I looked at the case. I'm like, what is this game? I wasn't even sure at first. I thought for 10 bucks, I'm going to pick it up. I've really been on a PS3 kick this year, and this game is one that I'm glad I picked up. It's pretty rare for me to find a game, take it home, and actually play it right away. I know I'm terrible that way, but after just seeing this case, I was so curious about this game because I did not know what it was. So I ended up playing it shortly after I picked it up. Murdered Soul Suspect is definitely a game like no other. The premise of the game is you're this convict turned cop, and you basically get murdered, and then you become a ghost and you try to solve your own murder. When I first popped this in my PS3 and I started playing, I got the feeling that this was going to be like Detroit Become Human for the PS4. I beat that in 2020, and this game just gave off vibes like that game, but boy, I was wrong. This is nothing like Detroit Become Human. Honestly, it had quite a bit of a learning curve at the start. It was a little slow. I didn't really understand what to do, but after I got things figured out and started playing it, I just couldn't believe what I was getting into here. I was a ghost walking around towns, reading people's minds, going through walls, going through cars. It was crazy. Like I was playing as a ghost. It was awesome. I found this game actually really engaging the further I got into it. The story was opening up. I was getting new abilities. I could interact with more stuff. It was just really enjoyable. I kind of was sad at the end when I beat it. I was wishing there was more. And then I found out that it actually had a PS4 version, which I was unaware of. I don't know if it had DLC or anything. I've only played the PS3 version, but it definitely was hard to let go at the end. One thing I want to mention about this game is you can possess a cat. Yeah, a cat. I was a cat running around this building, jumping on stuff, getting into trouble. It was actually really cool. The other thing that's really neat about this is you don't just get to walk around and be a ghost, do whatever you want. There's actually like these super creepy and scary demon guys that kind of hunt you. Yeah, these demons kill ghosts. I don't want to spoil too much of the story, but it's a cheap game. I really enjoyed it. And again, this is definitely my hidden gem of 2021. Alright, I'm ashamed to say that I've never beaten Streets of Rage 2 until 2021. What? I know, unbelievable. I'm bad for Sega. I haven't given Sega enough love over the years. I never grew up with it, never had nostalgia for it. You know, there's a few of my friends and YouTubers that I interact with, and they all have a lot of great things to say about Sega. So I said, I'm going to play some Sega games this year. And I played a few, but Streets of Rage 2 is one I actually completed. The way I decided to play Streets of Rage 2 finally was I was sitting in my retro room looking at my Genesis Model 1 getting dusty, and I thought, everybody loves Streets of Rage 2. You know what? I'm just going to do it. I put it in and I started playing. And when that first music hit me in that first stage, I was like, wow, this is great music. Suddenly, a couple hours later, I was more than halfway through the game. I couldn't put it down. It was just such a fun beat 'em up. You know, there's nothing I can't say about Streets of Rage that hasn't already been said. You know, I really like Blaze. I like how you can just cheese people. You can do like light punches here and there and just totally wreck them. The weapons are cool. Like, Streets of Rage 2 is just a great game, and I am really ashamed that I never played it and beat it until this point. So now, at the end of 2021, I can proudly say I beat Streets of Rage 2. Don't be like me if you haven't played it. Get out there and play it. It's definitely one of the best Sega games I've ever played. Alright, EDF, EDF, here we go. This is Earth Defense Force 4.1 for the PlayStation 4. It's actually a remake of the PlayStation 3 version. I never played the original on the PlayStation 3. Of this one, I went from Insect Armageddon to this one. This game is so fun. I can't even explain how fun this game is. The basic concept of EDF is the world is being overtaken by creatures, giant bugs, robots. There's just so much different enemies in this game. I don't even know why it's fun, really. It's like what I'd call stupid fun. You just shoot and blow things up and try to survive. This game literally sucked hours of my life. Like I mentioned before, I played Earth Defense Force Insect Armageddon for the PS3. I beat that one. Spoiler alert, you'll see that later in this list. And then I moved on to this one shortly after. Honestly, graphically, this game is nothing great compared to other PS4 games. It's more the fun factor than looking great. The controls are kind of sloppy, but you know what? Again, it just comes down to fun. Games don't always have to look the best to be fun or be great. They just have to be fun. Whether it's fighting just a little army of bugs or a few robots or even these giant Independence Day size ships in the sky, I found this game to never have a dull moment. This stage here you're looking at is one of the final stages of the game. That's why it looks really chaotic and hectic. There are stages earlier on in the game that are a little more laid back and easygoing. I just wanted to show the action of this game. You do get overwhelmed sometimes, but you just go in guns blazing, blasting things. I had a lot of powerful weapons at this point, so I was able to beat this stage. This was definitely not an easy stage, don't get me wrong. It was just so much fun, so much action. I would almost compare Earth Defense Force games kind of to like Warriors games, for instance, Fire Emblem Warriors on the Switch. A lot of people would find that just mindless repeat action boring after a while. I guess I'm just special because games like that and this one here, it's just basically the same thing. You're blowing up bugs or robots or giant ships over and over and over and over. And really, it never got boring for me. I couldn't stop playing. There's a handful of Earth Defense Force games out there, and I've only played a couple. This one definitely was really good. I'm glad I played it in 2021 because it was a ton of fun. Now here we have Hercules, the Disney game for the PS1. This was another game I was just looking around my game room one night, and I thought, I'm going to play Hercules. I don't have a rhyme or reason, I just popped it in and played it. Well, it turns out it was a really fun action platformer game. I was actually a big fan of the Hercules movie back when I was a kid. So I was really hoping that this game was true to the movie, and oh, it is. They even got Danny DeVito to voice Phil. The footage here is basically the training ground. I, for some reason, didn't save my save data for some reason. I swear I did, but apparently I didn't because I popped it back in my PS1 to get some footage here for you guys, and my memory card didn't have save data. So don't let this little bit of footage fool you. This game is fun. You're not just beating up sandbags and rocks and stuff like that. It was a lot of fun, challenging at times, but it's really cool, a really fun Disney game. One thing unique about this game is you can actually move between the background and the foreground. At one point, I didn't know where I could go. I was stuck at the end. I'm like, okay, now what? And then I push up on the D-pad and I walk down into the background, do some stuff back there, and then I come back up. So graphically, this is a really impressive game for the PS1. And it's very reminiscent of the old Super Nintendo Disney games. It's got that fun factor and the true to movie feel to it. So to sum it up, Hercules is a great looking, fun action platformer for the PS1 that I'm glad I completed in 2021. Here we have Cross Edge for the PS3. Yep, another PS3 game. Like I mentioned before, 2021 has been the year of the PS3 for me. I've played and completed more PS3 games this year than I think I have in the last 5 years. This game I saw at a pawn shop, and I was looking at PS3. PS3 was on the rise, and honestly, I was just trying to find unique and rare titles that I felt were going to be valuable in the future before they shot up in price, because the games were all still really cheap there at the time. The only reason why I picked up Cross Edge at that pawn shop was I saw a bunch of like anime looking characters on it, and experience in collecting has taught me this kind of anime looking stuff always seems to go up in value. Well, I got home, I was putting it away and adding stuff into my mobile app, and I saw Morgan on the cover, and I was like, what? Is that Morgan? So I popped it in, and sure enough, Morgan from Darkstalkers was in Cross Edge. Morgan is one of my favorite video game characters ever. Just, I loved playing her in Darkstalkers and Marvel vs. Capcom, and just to see her in Cross Edge, and I picked that game up, was a complete fluke. If I knew she was in this, I would have actively searched this game out, but it just happened to be in the pawn shop that way. It looked like it could be expensive in the future, so I picked it up. It was such a pleasant surprise. So the premise of Cross Edge is it's a strategy game, very similar to Fire Emblem or Final Fantasy Tactics, or one that it really reminds me of is Project Cross Zone for the 3DS. That's a huge crossover strategy game, and seeing that Morgan is in this, it kind of has that same feel. It's a traditional turn-based strategy game, but you can do like these kind of combos. If you're quick, you have a little timer, and you can get all three characters or multiple characters hitting all at once and perform really awesome combos. This game, however, does have a bit of a learning curve. I found myself just bumbling around, trying to figure out what to do in the menus. I didn't know how to do combos. It was a little frustrating, honestly, at first, but I said, Morgan's in this, I'm going to power through this and figure this out. And then several hours into it, I wish that I could show you some of the really epic battle scenes and moves in this game, but the PS3 that I beat this on earlier in the year actually crapped out, and I had to replace it, so I lost all my save data, which is too bad. So I just fired up a new save file to capture this footage, but I assure you, it's a really great strategy game. If you're into turn-based strategy games, I highly recommend you check this one out. For me personally, I'm not the biggest fan of turn-based strategy games unless there's something to keep me hooked. And that timer with the combos and stuff like that definitely kept me interested in this game. Sometimes in gaming, I swear, things are just meant to happen. For instance, me getting Cross Edge. It happened to be in the pawn shop that day, had Morgan in it. It was just a complete fluke. And it was a lucky fluke because it turns out it's a really good game. I enjoyed it. I really think anybody that's into strategy games should pick up Cross Edge, especially now because it's still semi-cheap. I feel like this one is going to go up in price eventually. Here we have Turok for the Xbox 360. Turok was another lucky thrift store find. I saw it one day and I said, hey, isn't Turok that series on the N64? I thought, for a couple bucks, I'll pick it up. I never actually played much of the N64 ones. I never had them when I was younger. Friends I had didn't have that game, so I don't have a lot of experience with Turok. I did play Turok on the GameCube, and it was decent. Kind of a first-person shooter dinosaur game. So one day, I thought, I got Turok here. I'm just going to play it. It's one of those games again, looking around, thinking, what do I play? And I just went for it. I don't know if it was on a dinosaur kick or what, but I popped it in. The first little bit of Turok, I was like, this is just a first-person shooter. Where's the dinosaurs? I just wanted dinosaurs. I was patient, got through most of the beginning there, the tutorial, all that stuff, the story. It was pretty slow to start, honestly. It was just like a generic 360 shooter. Kind of felt like a knockoff of Halo, I want to say. Just was hard to get interested. But then when I saw those dinosaurs for the first time, I was like, wow, okay, here we go, let's go. After the dinosaurs were in the game, I was having so much fun. Collecting guns, sneaking around, pulling out your knife and stabbing dinosaurs trying to survive. I felt bad killing my first dinosaur, but then the freaking velociraptors or whatever they are come around here, and they are just ruthless. They will hunt you, they will jump up, like they will take you out. As I mentioned before, I don't have a lot of experience with Turok as a series, but I did enjoy this one. Again, it's got a slow start, but once it picked up, I enjoyed it. It's unique enough with the dinosaurs that it kept me hooked to finish it off. Fortunately, Turok on the 360 is still a pretty cheap game, so I think now would be a good time to pick it up because I could see it going up in the future once people realize that it's a pretty decent game. Now we will talk about GoldenEye 007 Reloaded for the PS3. The reason why I started playing this game in 2021 was I was sitting there one night, I played through Perfect Dark, I love that game, it's one of my favorite N64 games, and I thought, maybe I'll play GoldenEye. So I put GoldenEye in, and nope, I couldn't do it. Especially after just beating Perfect Dark. I'm sorry guys, GoldenEye was great when I was a kid, but it just did not age well at all. I got pretty frustrated with the N64 version, and then I thought, you know what, they remade GoldenEye, did they not? And it turns out I had it on PS3 and Wii. Well, I didn't feel like messing around with motion control, so I popped it in the PS3, and 2 hours into it, I'm like, what? I'm still playing this. What's going on here? I don't know why this game gets hate. Like, I've heard reviews over the years that it's not very good, but I actually enjoyed this game. Something I've learned as I got older with gaming and collecting, I don't have time to play games that I don't like. If I'm not hooked, I'm not enjoying it, I'm not going to force myself through a game. I'll turn it off, put it on the shelf, maybe trade it, maybe sell it. I have a huge backlog. I just don't have time to play games that I'm not enjoying. Now, don't get me wrong, I have a lot of bad games, but bad games have their purpose, and it's fun to play them with friends, punish them with that, whatever. That's fun. But games that are just generic and boring and have nothing to laugh about, there's just no enjoyment at all, I don't have time for that kind of stuff. Honestly, there's a few games in 2021 that I put a couple hours into, and I turned it off and quit. They just weren't for me. I wasn't having fun. It felt like work. Games should be fun, not a chore. So back to GoldenEye. This game is basically a complete retelling of the GoldenEye movie. It's so in-depth. Playing the original N64 version to this, it's like two different games. One complaint I do have about this game, though, is I didn't know where I was in the GoldenEye story most of the time. Was I in the bunker? Was I in the facility? I looked for different parts, trying to figure out exactly where I was in the story. It just wasn't clear. I know the GoldenEye movie and game pretty well, and again, I didn't know what was going on most of the time in this game. Don't get me wrong though, it was still fun to just play through it. I just didn't know what part of the story I was at. Another thing that was kind of disappointing in this game was I was expecting to see some of the iconic weapons from the N64 game, like the DD-44 Distobi, but I had all these like different weapons. I had no clue what they were. Honestly, I don't know what else to say about GoldenEye on the PS3. It's the first-person shooter. It's definitely not the best game I played this year, but it's a decent one. Now we have Rocket Knight Adventures for the Sega Genesis. I'm going to start off by saying, Retrobird, I finally did it. Retrobird absolutely loves this game, and I had never really put much thought into it until I started talking to Retrobird. And I see why he loves this game so much. It is a ton of fun. Nowadays, when I hear Retrobird, I instantly think of Rocket Knight Adventures. I don't know if that was his intention, but that's how I see them now. They go hand in hand. Retrobird, Rocket Knight Adventures. So basically, Rocket Knight Adventures is just a really fun, unique action platformer for the Sega Genesis. Whether you're using the charge attack and blasting around the stage or throwing your weapon at enemies, it's just fun. That's what it boils down to. It's fun. There's some pretty cool shoot 'em up style stages too that are a lot of fun. I just found it was really hard to put the controller down on this one. I popped it in one night, just wanted to play it, see what all the hype was about. And I ended up beating it that night because I just couldn't stop playing. What else can I say about Rocket Knight Adventures? Not a whole lot other than it's a must play. That's right. I'm telling you, just like Retrobird always says, get out there and play this game because it is fantastic. I know there's another game in the series called Sparkster, so hopefully I can play that one day now that I've completed Rocket Knight Adventures. Now that I've completed Rocket Knight Adventures, I can say it's one of the funnest and best games I played on the Sega Genesis. Now for a rare and expensive game, Spider-Man Web of Shadows on the PS3. It's not a very well-known secret that I'm a big fan of Venom, the Marvel character. So, when I saw this was a Spider-Man game in a 3D environment that had Venom as the main villain, I had to get it. Unfortunately, I did not get this game before it got really expensive, so I missed out on getting a cheap copy. However, I did find a copy in a decently priced PS3 lot. So, I didn't pay retail for this, but I did get it at a fair price. I actually bought that PS3 lot strictly for this game because I wanted to play it so bad. There are several Spider-Man games on the PS3, but because Venom, of course, is the main villain, this is the one that I got drawn to first. I haven't played or beaten the other two yet, Edge of Time or Shattered Dimension. I hope they're as fun as this one. Now, I know everybody talks about how great Spider-Man on the PS4 is. I honestly haven't played or beaten that one yet, so I can't make a fair comparison. I do have a friend that has beaten the Spider-Man on PS4 as well as this Web of Shadows, and he says the Spider-Man on PS4 is much better, which makes sense because its newer hardware probably worked out a lot of the kinks that this game has. Either way though, I still really enjoyed this game, and I don't think it's because of my Venom bias. You don't even get to play as Venom in this. I found the story really engaging in this, and the amount of characters in this game really shocked me. There's characters like Black Cat, Wolverine, Rhino, Vulture, Luke Cage. I really appreciate the crossovers they did in this game. I found the web slinging fun. I found the fighting to be excellent. You can even upgrade your attacks and abilities and fighting skills. But by far, one of the greatest things in this game is you can actually switch between regular Spider-Man or the black suit Spider-Man, the symbiote Spider-Man. And you can actually decide when you level up and power up and make decisions based on being a good Spider-Man or a bad Spider-Man. And I actually played most of it through as the bad Spider-Man. Spoiler alert, there's one section here where you have to pick Felicia Harding or Mary Jane Watson, and I've always had a soft spot for Felicia, which is the Black Cat, so I saved her instead of helping Mary Jane, and I think I got the bad ending. I don't know, but either way, this game was a ton of fun. I was so sad when it was over, so I'm hoping the other Spider-Man PS3 games are similar to it, or just as fun. There's a lot of cool collectibles in this game as well. I had a lot of fun just going around doing side quests and missions, getting the collectibles, and just web slinging through the city was just a lot of fun as the Black Spider-Man. Now, there are some problems I had with this game. I had this game glitch out several times. There's quite a few bugs actually. There's points where it actually just froze and I had to reset. Other times there were just graphical glitches. Sometimes I get stuck on a wall. It's definitely buggy. I can see why people may criticize this game because of the bugs, but if you can look past that like I did, it's still such an enjoyable game, and I can comfortably say this is one of the best Spider-Man games I played so far. If you're a fan of Spider-Man and the symbiotes like Venom like me, I think you should definitely give this one a play. Hopefully you can get it for a decent price, because this game is extremely expensive now. Now with all that said, Spider-Man Web of Shadows on the PS3 is my third favorite game that I beat in 2021. Now on to Destroy All Humans for the PS4. So I actually got the huge collector's edition of Destroy All Humans for Christmas in 2020. It came with a giant crypto statue. I did do an unboxing of that. It was extremely hard to unbox because that set is massive. This game is actually a remake of an original Xbox and PS2 game. I actually completed this game many years ago on the original Xbox and I loved it. Two kind of games I enjoy that are always fun to me are zombie games and alien style games. And this game is not realistic at all. It's just quirky and weird, but it's a ton of fun. Whether you're zapping people or transforming into people, flying around, sucking brains, doing anal probes, yeah, this game has all your classic traditional alien tropes. There's also sections where you're actually in the UFO, and blasting up buildings and stuff like that, trying to stop the men in black. Destroy All Humans, the remake, I enjoyed every second of this game, even though it was just never a dull moment, so much fun, causing such havoc. I constantly found myself just goofing around this game, like picking up people and throwing them in the ocean, just causing general mayhem. It's got like a GTA style kind of system to it, where if you get in too much trouble, you got police, army, or men in black agents chasing you. The best way to escape from that though is do the hollow bob, and you transform into a regular civilian, and then you can just blend right in. Another thing that I found enjoyable was just going around and reading people's private thoughts. I did it so much though, I did find a lot of repeat thoughts, but it was still kind of fun until I started getting repeats. So there isn't really much else I can say about this game. I really hope that they remaster Destroy All Humans 2 for a modern console. They did such a great job with this one. It's just a fun, silly game, and it's definitely my second favorite game I completed in 2021. Okay, here we go. My favorite game I completed in 2021. Earth Defense Force Insect Armageddon for the PS3. EDF! EDF! What to say about this game? Really, not a whole lot. Just like the last EDF in this list, it's stupid, it's silly, it's fun. It's not the best looking game, it doesn't control the best, but again, it's just so much fun. Running around, blowing up ants, spiders, bees, giant robots. Yeah, it's just silly fun. This is actually the first Earth Defense Force game I ever played, and definitely the most memorable. I remember the first time I saw those giant robots, the ones that are the size of buildings. I was so intimidated and honestly a little scared. They make this sound that just makes your skin crawl. I was really scared to go up to it, and the first few times I tried to take it out, I got destroyed, like absolutely manhandled. But after getting some experience, getting some better weapons, I got some confidence, and I went in there guns blazing, and I took them out, and it felt great. This game definitely doesn't look as great as some other EDF titles, but it's just so fun. I really enjoyed this one. I would like to say I enjoyed it more than the PS4 version featured in the list earlier, simply because I found this a little less chaotic, and it could just be because it was my first one. I have a special place for it. I don't know. I just really enjoyed this one. But don't get me wrong, they're both just absolutely great. I feel like EDF is a really underappreciated series. I feel like I could just go on longer about this game, but really, I've said what I had to say about EDF earlier in this list on the PS4 version. They're all pretty similar, but if there is one thing that you can take from the games I've beaten in 2021 is play an Earth Defense Force game. Give it a try. Even if you're not into the style of games, I think it's just so fun you might fall in love with it like I did. The best thing about EDF games, especially this one, is it's cheap and it doesn't take a lot of commitment. I was playing just a couple of rounds here and there and I turned it off. So people that are tight for time like I have been lately, this is the perfect game to have a couple hours of fun, shut it off, come back another day. So that's it. Those are the games I completed in 2021. I had a lot of fun with these games. I'm glad that I beat as many games as I did this year. I definitely beat more games in 2021 than I did 2020. I highly recommend you guys play any of these games on the list. I don't think you'll be disappointed with any of them. Now with all that out of the way, I just want to quickly go over a few games that I hope to play and complete in 2022. So let's take a look. Alright, now let's take a look at the games I plan to play and complete in 2022. After I pulled all these out, it does seem pretty ambitious, so I can already tell I'm not going to be able to beat all of these, but these are the games I want to play and hopefully beat. So let's take a look. First one up here, Conker's Bad Fur Day for the N64. Everyone says how great it is. I've played it a little bit, never beat it. So that's one I hope to complete in 2022. Pocky and Rocky 2 for the Super Nintendo. I played it a little bit. It's hard as nails. I've completed the first one years ago, so I'd really like to get Pocky and Rocky 2 under my belt. This one here I'm actually really excited to try out. One Chanbara Bikini Samurai Squad. I've never played it, but it looks a lot like Lollipop Chainsaw. So if it's a fun hack and slash zombie game, definitely want to play and complete that one. Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story with Bowser Jr.'s Journey for the 3DS. This one, I enjoyed the original Bowser's Inside Story for the DS. Never beat that one. So I thought, why not complete the 3DS one, hopefully. This one here, Grim Fandango Remastered. I actually paid like quite a bit for this game. It looks so interesting. It only had a PC version and then the PS4 physically, so had to pay quite a bit for this one, so I should play through it. Apparently it's really good. Disaster Report 4 Summer Memories. I actually did start this one and I stopped playing. It was good so far, so that's one I want to complete. Spider-Man. This is based on the 90s cartoon for the PlayStation 1. I did also start this one before, played a couple hours into it, really liked it, so hopefully I can go back and complete that one in 2022. Fatal Frame, Maiden of the Black Water for the Nintendo Switch. Really excited to play this one. I heard it's pretty short, so hopefully that's one I can complete in 2022. This one's been daunting me for many years. I think 2022 is the year I'm going to actually beat it. Misadventures of Tron. It's an extremely expensive, rare game, and I feel like I owe it to myself to play it and complete it. Now these two, I can't decide which one, but we got Earth Defense Force Iron Rain for the PS4 and then Earth Defense Force 5. As I mentioned before, EDF games are so fun, so I'm definitely going to play one of these in 2022 and hopefully complete it. Just not sure which one. If you guys have played these by any chance, let me know in the comments which one you would play first. Here's a classic that my friend Phantom Link always harasses me to finish. Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. I actually have started it, and it's one that I was currently working on for my complete Nintendo GameCube library review series. Unfortunately, my laptop had an issue back then, and I haven't picked up that series again, but in 2022, I definitely plan on continuing on reviewing every single GameCube game, including Paper Mario: Thousand Year Door. I've gotten pretty far in the game, and it's super fun, so I feel like that's one I'm definitely going to complete in 2022. Then we got Alan Wake Remastered. I've started this one with a friend and coworker. He got the Xbox One version, I got the PS4 version. We were kind of playing together at the same time. The holidays came up and got pretty busy, so haven't completed it yet, but I'm sure I'll have it completed for 2022. This one here, Chrono Trigger. Yes, I still have not completed Chrono Trigger. I planned on playing it a few years ago, started up, never got around to completing it. I know, bad me. It's a great game. Everyone talks so highly of it. I need to get around and beat that one. Genesis here, Haunting featuring Poltergeist. This is one I've always been interested in, so I really want to put some time aside to complete that one this year. Gunstar Heroes is another one that I've heard really good things about. I have the game now. It's pretty expensive, so definitely want to try to get that one done. On the PSP, Infected. I don't know much about it. I think it's a zombie game, so that's one I want to give a go. This one here, Afro Samurai. Nobody ever talks about it. I found this one sealed. It was almost like a former rental store or something. That had a whole bunch of PS3 games. And this one's sealed. I want to crack it open and play it. It looks to be some kind of hack and slash game, which is right up my alley lately. Mr. Mosquito. I've live streamed this game before. I played it a ton. I've just never been able to beat it. I don't put enough time into it. So I feel like that's one that I want to get through and complete this year.
Dino Stalker. This is actually a fairly recent pickup of mine. It's like a rail shooter dinosaur game. I thought it'd be kind of fun. I don't imagine it'd be too long, but that's one I want to play. Alright, so I have a little stack of PS3 games here. I guess I'm still on a PS3 kick this year. I do have some of these games on the 360 as well, so I may balance it out, do some PS3, do some 360. Typically, there's not much difference between the versions. Anyway, so the first one here, this stack is Back to the Future the game. I'm a big fan of Back to the Future, and shame on me for never completing this game, so I gotta put the time in and beat that one. The Simpsons game. This game's been going up in price. I'm a huge fan of The Simpsons. I've been watching them since I was a kid, so gotta play that one. I heard it's great. Silent Hill Homecoming. I've been binge watching Nitro Rad. He does a lot of reviews on horror games. He's Canadian as well. He doesn't have the best things to say about these newer Silent Hill games, but being a big fan of the series, I think I should try Homecoming. That's one that seems to interest me. Next, Spider-Man 3. Come on, cut me some slack. I actually liked Spider-Man 3, the Tobey Maguire ones, the movie. I really enjoyed it. Only thing I don't like about it is Topher Grace playing Venom. Total bad casting. Anyway, I might give this one a try. Not going to say I'm going to beat it. I'm sure it's not as good as Web of Shadows, but I want to try it out. Walking Dead Survival Instinct. I really used to love the show. I've tried playing this game. I get a couple hours into it and just quit. I guess I should just try to get through it because I heard it's bad, but I want to give it another chance. So, Resistance Fall of Man. This game I popped in for about an hour and played. I really enjoyed it. I just turned it off. So I want to dive back in and give that one a go. This one here, Spec Op The Line. This is one I want to play. I've heard it's actually kind of like a hidden gem on the PS3. It's another first-person shooter. I think I'll give it a go. No plans to play Mafia 2 or Borderlands 2. Jurassic The Hunted. This is another dinosaur kind of Turok game, apparently. I don't know much about it, but I found it cheap, so hopefully going to give that one a go. DuckTales Remastered. I enjoyed the NES game, and I finally found a copy of this, so I want to play that one. Dead Space. Yeah, I've never played any of the Dead Space games. I hear they're just phenomenal. So I think I'm going to dive in and try to get Dead Space done this year. And then The Darkness 2. I'm kind of on the fence. I did enjoy the first one, but I don't want to burn myself out. I try to play different series of games over time. So that the fact that I've beaten Darkness 1 in 2021, I don't know if I'm ready for Darkness 2 in 2022, but we'll see. It's on my list to play. And finally, The Bureau. XCOM Declassified. It's another Alien style game. I don't know what to expect. I know the other XCOM games are strategy games, so I don't know. We'll see. That's one I plan to play. Alright, so that's it. That was my completed games of 2021, and these are the games that I plan to complete or at least play in 2022. I'd love to know what you guys beat in 2021, or any games you want to play in 2022, or even if you have anything to recommend to me to play in 2022, leave a comment below and let me know. Alright, so that's it for this video. I want to say thank you everyone for the love and support in 2021. My channel has grown quite a bit over the last year, and I personally want to thank every single one of you for making this channel great and giving me the support and watching, sharing, commenting. I do really appreciate it. I look forward to 2022, putting out more videos and interacting with all of you.
Alright, that's going to wrap up today's video. Be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and share. I'd really appreciate it. You can follow me on social media. The information is in the description below. I want to thank everybody for watching. I am the Console Collector, and until the next video, happy gaming.